I thought it might be a bit of fun to put together an all-performance enhancing drugs Major League Baseball team. Please note this is entirely for entertainment and the names have been pulled from various sources linking them to PED usage, and of course in this scenario they're all in their prime. Batting first is shortstop Miguel Tejada, a good combination of power and speed on a list where speed is at a premium. He wasn't necessarily the fastest guy on the field, but he could steal a base when needed and tag up on some questionable mid-range fly balls to advance your score. He also had pretty good range at shortstop, which is nice to have, but I'll probably be relying on offense to outscore any opponent rather than winning close one-run games. Second in the order, I'm going to go with third baseman Alex Rodriguez. Yes, I know he came into the league as a shortstop, but he actually played over 1,000 games at both positions, so I'm more than comfortable putting him here even though he's a defensive liability at third. He also provides some speed on the bases, having joined the 40-40 club in 1998, which will be important for clearing the bases for the big bats coming next. His power will give the team early leads in games as he bats near 300 for his career, with the power that resulted in his 696 career home runs. Leading into the power positions in the lineup but not yet sacrificing any average, third in our lineup today will be outfielder Manny Ramirez. With a .312 average and power, he will have plenty of hits to drive in the first two batters as he was an RBI machine for most of his career, topping out at 165 in 1999. He had what I consider to be one of the nicest swings in baseball and was clutch when the situation called for it. I'll gladly take Manny being Manny in return for his production at the plate. I just hope no one hits the ball to him in the field. Batting fourth at the cleanup position in this lineup could have gone to almost anyone, but I'm going to give it to what is probably the most obvious choice in Barry Bonds. Bonds was already having a Hall of Fame career before he went through a physical change when he was suspected of using PEDs. Another member of the 40-40 club gives him the speed needed to leg out doubles and score if someone behind him in the order gets a hit while he is on base. He is likely to be on base since that was his specialty, especially late in his career when pitchers wanted nothing to do with him, but walking him now won't be such an easy decision, because now they have to deal with the number 5 hitter, first baseman Mark McGwire. McGwire isn't exactly the guy you want to get to by walking someone else and putting them on base for him. He was the first to hit the 70 home run mark in a season and followed it up with 65 in the next one. Like others, he went through a very visual, physical transformation through his career, but rules don't matter in this scenario, and he is the perfect guy to have batting fifth and protecting Bonds ahead of him. This may affect Bonds' walk numbers, but he should be on base more than enough for McGwire to have plenty of chances to drive him home. Most teams would be happy to be getting to the second half of the batting order, but I suspect that probably won't be the case here as the number 6 slot is filled by catcher Mike Piazza. A career average over 300 and having hit a lot of doubles to go with his home runs mean we will be starting to put people back on base after Bonds and McGwire clear them. Should they fail to do so, however, Piazza is more than capable of doing the job himself, having topped 30 home runs in more than half of the years he played. Maybe not as impressive as others on this team, but very high marks for a catcher. Beginning the usually light part of the order with a 7, 8, 9 batters is the number 7 batter, outfielder Sammy Sosa. Pitching to this team doesn't get any easier, and a guy who hits for incredible power, having topped 60 home runs in a season 3 times, and has over 200 stolen bases, albeit mostly towards the start of his career, is a dangerous man to deal with. He might be one of the easiest outs, if you can call him that, as he did lead the league in strikeouts 3 seasons in a row, but if he gets a hold of a pitch, it's more than likely to end up a souvenir than staying in play. Now, I needed a DH for the team, and I immediately thought to put David Ortiz in the number 8 position on the lineup here, but after a bit of digging, I instead landed on Gary Sheffield. While Ortiz certainly got more coverage for his role as a DH, Sheffield can fill the role quite nicely and comes with the bonus of being able to play in multiple places in the field if needed. For someone with his numbers, he seems to get overlooked a lot during an era, but 500 plus home runs and a .292 batting average is nothing to sneeze at. Finally, batting 9th is the second baseman Robinson Cano. He may not get the most attention, but he has been suspended twice for violating the league's substance abuse policies, the last time for an entire season. He is a career 301 hitter and very productive at getting on base, averaging 41 doubles per season, which will serve the team well when we swing back around to the top of the order and start this nightmare for an opposing pitcher all over again. Now, of course, I'm going to need some pitching, and I knew before I even began this video that I would be starting the Rocket himself, Roger Clemens. Clemens was dominant as evidenced by his 1986 MVP Cy Young Award winning season only 3 years into his career. He is a 6-time 20-game winner and averaged 17 per year for his career and was a strikeout machine with the 3rd most in history. Now, admittedly, He never tested positive, never flunked a drug test, and never admitted to using, and has denied the allegations to this day. His name did appear in the Mitchell report, which is good enough to get him in this video. A relief pitcher probably won't be needed, but just in case something happens, I'm going to bring in Andy Pettitte out of the bullpen as insurance for Clemens. He wasn't as flashy as some of the other pitchers of his time, but he was extremely reliable, leading the league 3 times in games started and eating up innings, logging over 210 of his 18 years. He always seemed to come up with a big game when it was needed, and if our imaginary opponent knocks Clemens out of the game, that is likely what will be needed from Pettitte. Finally, we'll need a closer to be sure we walk out with the win, and I can't think of anyone better to have in this role than Eric Gagne. This fireball-throwing closer had 3 straight seasons with 40-plus saves, and 2 of them were over 50. Touching 101 miles per hour at the fastest, he was routinely in triple digits on the radar gun and blowing the ball by opponents. Mixing in a sinker, curve, and slider, he was dangerous as a 4-pitch closer rather than the average guy who would have 2 pitches and a third that they were always working on. Thank you so very much for watching. As I said, this was just for fun, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing, as I upload a short every single day and try to release longer videos like this up to twice a week.